But let's talk about it real quick. Our last one of the season, game ball. Who is your game ball in the national championship, man?
To me, I split it between two people, and I've said their name a few times tonight. To me, it's Mason Graham and Kenneth Grant. Ooh. Those guys in the middle, when Dillon Johnson was in, they shut down that run game. They made Washington one-dimensional, and they pushed the interior of that pocket and made Penix have to make decisions he didn't want to make him throw the ball early. There was multiple times where they'd show replays of if Penix had another second or two, that ball was going deep. And it was a guy that tight end sneak through the middle of the coverage, and they'd have the perfect play set up to beat whatever coverage we had. But because we had those two guys pushing the pocket from the middle, Penix didn't have the time to make those throws. There's so many clips from this game of all of a sudden you see a guard or the center on his backside because one of them just bowled him over and is making his way towards the quarterback. These two were absolute game breakers. They're both back next year, and they're going to do it all over again next year. Had to show these guys some loves. The Rose Bowl defensive MVP and Kenneth Grant get my game ball.
I love it. And normally I know everybody would think, hey, you're going to go running back. You're going to go Blake Corum. You're going to go John Edwards. Not doing that. I'm not doing that right now. I'm going to bring up somebody I mentioned. I've been shouting out this defense for the last couple of weeks, and I'm going to go Mike Sainristil. Led your team in tackles with 6 of them solo. He, in my opinion, a lot of the things on him, he might not have the interception fumble, but it's the little things. It's the communication. It's the being able to go and talk to different people. It's the being able to – one of the biggest things I saw from him is once Washington, there was a drive where Washington started really passing the ball and getting down the field, and their wide receivers started to chirp a little bit. And they in one particular catch near the red zone, catches it, gets up, and gets right in the guy's face. Mike Sainristil makes a beeline to his corner, gets right in between them, and just walks him away. That's here. That's something that he realizes. Don't get in a talking match with them. No, we have a job to do. Even when Sainristil was the one who there was one where he got the pass interference call or something like that, and the wide receiver was barking. He just, he was kind of like, mad at myself, and then just walked back to what he was supposed to be doing. And that's a leadership. That shows character, and that is bigger, in my opinion, than any play this or that. And like I told you, that first play where it could have easily been 7-7, and all of a sudden we might have a shootout on our hands. He stopped that, and then all of a sudden you have to go for a field goal, which they almost missed, if I'm not mistaken. I think that first one kind of curved out, and then
each team's back. First kick, it was heading out, and then it hooked in. Yeah, both teams had a kick like that. So,
so I got to show him love on that one.
I love that you brought that mentality up about Sainristil, because for me, there's so many guys on both sides of the ball that are like that, but for me, the main guy on the offensive side that may not get all the big numbers, but he's there to do his job and make sure everyone else does their job, it's Roman Wilson.
Yeah.
He's a guy that, for so many weeks, he was tied for the lead in touchdowns in the nation. And then all of a sudden you saw this run-heavy offense come back into form. And there were no complaints. There was no pouting. There was no whining. Yep. And he did his job. He's a willing blocker. He's a good blocker. And when his time comes, like it did late in the Rose Bowl, he shows up. Until then, he just puts his nose to the dirt and does his job. And there's so many guys like that on this team that, I'll bounce exactly like what Kate said. This has been my favorite iteration of Michigan football for all the selflessness and all the just team football that has been played.
Oh, I can dig it.